What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to Wednesday's late night agenda. I hope that you're all well. Lovely to see so many of you guys in the chat waiting for the stream to start. And look, I'm on time. It's a miracle. These things do happen every once in a while. You know, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, any more cheesy phrases? Yeah, you'll probably get loads of them because I haven't slept in 2 days. So you could get anything from me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But bear with me. I'm in a good mood. I hope you all are as well. Loads to get through. Big news in the transfer market today. Not really Liverpool related, but there is a lot of stuff to go through. But first and foremost, as always, we got to pay the bills, and we got to start off by saying a massive shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Manscaped. You can get yourselves over to manscaped.com now. Check out the perfect package, Performance Package 4.0 by Manscaped, which comes with the all-new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. You also get the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, some Crop Reviver toner for those nuts as well, some boxer briefs and a travel bag to hold all your goodies in. And the good news is, using our code WFM20, you will get yourself 20% off absolutely anything at manscaped.com. And Sabrina, what will thank you later? What will thank me later?
Your balls.
Now you can back me up on this. How many are my balls constantly thanking me?
I don't know. I don't be speaking to them.
There you go. I mean, that's ruined. She's ruined me. But they will definitely thank you later. I promise you that one. And look, WFM20 to get yourself that discount. Look, let's get cracking tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with a little bit of good news, shall we? Because I like to bring you guys a bit of good news every now and again, and there he is, the beautiful man that is Alison Becker. He has signed a new contract at Liverpool Football Club. None of your 3-year nonsense, none of your 4-year nonsense, none of your nonsense. It's a 5-year deal that will keep him at Liverpool until 2026. Comes fresh on the heels of Trent Alexander-Arnold signing a new deal as well, Fabinho signing a new deal. Looks like Van Dijk could be up next as well, and I've got some news on a potential contract offer for Mohamed Salah a little bit later on in the stream. But yeah, absolutely top notch. And look, speaking of perfect packages, you know what I mean? Mr. Becker there, isn't he just a perfect package? Rugged good looks, tremendous goalkeeping abilities, and that Brazilian flair and a knack for scoring headers. He is the perfect package 4.0, isn't he? And if he was Manscaped, you wouldn't be getting 20% off him because he's worth every penny. 2027, sorry. See, this is why I said you could get at him for me tonight. I've had no sleep. In my head, I knew it was 6 years. And yet I still went, not 3, not 4, not 5. And in my head went, yeah, you stop there, Craig. But you are right. It's a 6-year deal, 2027. And thank you for waking me up and letting me know. But yeah, 6 years. It's a fantastic deal. Great to see him commit a future to the club. He was, of course, talking about it. And, you know, as always, the players have a nice thing to say. And he said, I think as you're getting older, you're building a family, you start to think more in your family than in yourself, in your professional terms. But you still have to think on that. For me, professionally, it's the best decision. It's the same decision as one I took when I first came here. Since I arrived, I started to win trophies with this amazing team, with this amazing group. I started to develop myself in many aspects, football and in my life. And look, we know what a difficult year it was for him, obviously, with the passing of his dad in such tragic circumstances. And it's great to have him at the club for another 6 years until 2027. There you go. I got it right in the end. But yeah, it's brilliant. So happy days. Did you say family? Oh yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to come in there with the Dominic Toretto thing, sorry. I'm a bit slow on the uptake today, but yeah, brilliant news on him anyway. So great to see Alison commit himself for 6 years, and yeah, happy days on that one. Now let's move on to a former Liverpool player who has made a move today as well, and that is Danny Ings, who has moved to Aston Villa. It only happened about 6 o'clock today. Seems to have come out of completely nowhere. But the reason I bring it up is, obviously I want to wish Danny Ings well on his time at Aston Villa, but there's a little bit of a misconception around how much Liverpool will stand to make from this deal. So some people think Liverpool are going to make 6 million quid from the transfer. We're not. There was a 20% sell-on clause put into Danny Ings' a deal when he was sold to Southampton, but as per James Pearce of The Athletic, that 20% sell-on clause was anything over the 20 million quid that they paid for him. So Liverpool will make £2 million from Danny Ings moving from Southampton to Aston Villa. But look, it's still another couple of million in the bank, and Yeah, again, shows why Michael Edwards is good at what he does. It's not a huge number, but, you know, every little bit helps, as they say. JP LFC 199, thank you for the super chat, mate. First one of the night, very kind of you, much appreciated. What's the dog doing? My dog? Where is he? I don't know. I think he's in the kitchen with the rest of the family, to be honest with you, mate. Top blokings, really well deserved. Get 2 million from this at Paul Houghton. Yeah, it's great. Look, you know, everybody loves Danny Ings, don't they? Let's be honest. And we all just want to see the lad do well. So, good move for him. Villa are an ambitious club. Villa have obviously brought in Leon Bailey as well. They're going to lose Jack Grealish to Manchester City. And I suppose that's where I wanted to go with next, is the whole rival spending and how we feel about it. So, just let me grab the image up on the screen. And, one sec. Yeah, there we go. So rivals are going big, ladies and gentlemen. So look, Manchester City they're going to tie up Jack Grealish. That is going to happen. Grealish will become a Manchester City player for a fee of £100 million. And then it remains to be seen what they do with regards to going after Harry Kane. We know Harry Kane hasn't showed up for Tottenham training this week. He's going to be fined by the club. He believes, I think, that he has a word of mouth or a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy that he can leave. But at the end of the day, let's wait and see. But Manchester City are going to go big, is where I'm going. Now we move to Chelsea, a club who last year went really big anyway, or with the signings of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, Thiago Silva and some other players that they brought in. They ain't messing about, and it looks like they are going to get Romelu Lukaku because they couldn't get Haaland, and it looks like somewhere around 120 million quid to bring Romelu Lukaku back to Chelsea, a club where he started at a very young age. And I was shocked to find out that he was only 28 years of age, actually, Lukaku. I thought he was a good bit older than that. I thought he'd be early 30s. He seems to have been around forever. So we see Chelsea doing business as well. We see Manchester United doing business with Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. And surely there's no way. And that's where I'm at now. I'm convincing myself there is no way that Liverpool's owners can look at what's going on at other clubs and not know that we need to add, to just stay in the race, to just stay in the hunt for a Premier League title. We need to spend. That's before we're playing catch up technically from last season with City and United. Now I know there are some mitigating circumstances as to why we were so far off the top of the table, but you know, all the other clubs, even Spurs are out there now doing business. Everton have spent money. And we need to attract a couple of players, and I don't want to go too long into it. I don't want to sit here and whinge and moan about it, but you know, I hope that this is the catalyst now, along with maybe Origi and Shaqiri moving on, that we do get one or two bodies in before the transfer window closes, because it's vital basically that we keep pace with the rest of the league and what they're spending. On paper, we're not as good as other teams as it stands, said Pro Gamer. There'll be signings, so stop flapping. Who's fucking flapping? Am I flapping, mate? Do you see me going full on Flappy Bird here? Do I look like fucking Tweety Pie to you, princess? I'm not flapping, I'm talking. If you don't want to be here, fuck off. Feel free. Same as the guy who came on yesterday and put in a comment to say, you know, stop talking about all these transfers. You know, they will happen or they won't happen. Well, what else do you want me to talk about? Because there's nothing else going on in Liverpool land at the minute. So to come on here and stream every night, we got to talk about the articles, we got to talk about the links. We will of course talk about the 2 60-minute games tomorrow that are taking place against Bologna, and I'm looking forward to them. But yeah, look, basically no one's kidnapping you to be here. I love that you're all here, I love having fun with you, but if you're going to piss and moan about it, just fuck off, because I couldn't be arsed. And regular viewers will know that. I'm not going to blow smoke up your arse. I love having you here, but if you don't want to be here, then go find somebody else who lied to you, because all I'm ever going to do is tell you my truth anyway. But look, let's keep going, folks, because we've a lot to be happy about. The big man, VVD and Joe Gomez, are going to get at least 30 minutes each tomorrow as well in those games against Bologna. So here's how we're going to do on the channel tomorrow on Anfield Agenda around the games against Bologna. There are 2 60-minute games taking place, one at 3 p.m. and one at 5 p.m. So what's going to happen is I'm going to start streaming at about 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to go right through. So when there's a break between the games, we'll just have a chat in the live chat amongst ourselves, build up to the second game, maybe have a little look back over the first game. So I'll be streaming right through until about 6:15 tomorrow night. Then at 8:45 tomorrow night, myself, Steve Bland and Jack Gill are going to come back and do a live podcast this time. So you guys will be able to get your questions and your comments in as well. So instead of a late night agenda, tomorrow night we'll have a live podcast with me, Jack Gill and Steve Bland, and we will talk about what we've seen in the friendlies, talk about the transfer market and that else that you guys want to get stuck into as well. But yeah, it is great to see that Van Dijk and Gomez are going to get 30 minutes as they step up their recovery. Obviously, Van Dijk got 20 minutes in the last game. 30 minutes, then maybe a half, and start to build up that match fitness and get him back to where he needs to be, which is at the heart of our defence. I'll get to the Danjuma stuff in a minute, Samuel. I promise you, mate, I won't ignore that. I'm just going through the comments here to see if I've missed anything really important or obvious, because often I learn a lot from the comments during the streams as well. Look, we have a bit of fun and banter, but I actually do learn quite a bit from you guys. Everybody likes your rants. I don't like ranting though, mate, but I get confused at times because, like, let's say I've never liked Emmerdale as a TV show. I've liked Coronation Street, I've liked the EastEnders, I've never liked Emmerdale. So if Emmerdale's on the television, I'm not going to sit on my sofa shouting at the television telling Emmerdale to fuck off. I will just change the channel. And that's basically the way I see this on YouTube. People come on to moan. Why would you subject yourself to that? Just come on, watch or don't watch. If you don't like me or don't like what I'm saying, that's sound. I don't expect everyone to like me. But just stop wasting all of our times and being negative. Some of us want to have a bit of fun in the chat. Thiago has a slight injury. Yes, he does indeed have a slight injury, Joy. Joy K, thank you for that. Nothing too concerning, but it will rule him out of the games against Bologna tomorrow. Again, that's guaranteed. That came from the manager himself. So, yeah, very well said, mate. What about Fair City? I won't lie to you, I do like a little bit of Fair City, Bren. And I've actually got a few mates who are in Fair City at various times in their lives. Sorry, there are people who won't have a Scooby-Doo what Fair City is, but it's an Irish soap, basically, an Irish soap opera that's been running since I've been a child anyway. Right, so I did promise I would talk about this gentleman here, Danjuma from Bournemouth. And I've got to say, not a link that makes me, that puts lead in the old pencil, as I keep saying. I think a club like Crystal Palace, who I believe have also been linked to Danjuma, would be more sensible. What is he, 24, 25 years of age? I think a forward who likes to come in off the left-hand side, if my memory's correct. And look, you see, I don't like it. I'm just going to be quite honest with you. I don't like it and I want better. And, I'm sure he's a fine footballer. I'm sure that he is Premier League level, but I just don't see it being true. I mean, if it's coming from Marca via the Daily Mirror, I mean, that's a big leap there from a Spanish publication to an English publication about a story about a Bournemouth player. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't compute in my head. So the links are definitely there and they have been there for the last couple of days, but I don't really see anything to it, and nor do I think that, with all due respect to Danjuma, who's clearly a good footballer, you don't play professional football if you're not a good footballer, I don't think he's ready for Liverpool or of Liverpool quality, nor does anybody I've spoken to that knows him better than me. So, let's see if he ends up at the likes of Crystal Palace or something like that. What else we got? I agree, I don't want him saying with Bowen get us a top player. Now, I'd be far happier with Jared Bowen, although I still think we could probably do better. But I could understand Jared Bowen more than the Danjuma link, to be honest with you, because, we've seen Jared Bowen have a good year in the Premier League with West Ham last season. And again, it's not the sexiest of signings by any stretch of the imagination, but at least in my head, I could place him in the team. I could see what Jurgen Klopp could see in the idea of bringing Bowen in. But again, for me, I think we should be aiming a little bit higher, even with, maybe the financial restraints that we seem to have in place. Hey Craig, did Salah sign the new deal? No, he didn't sign yet, but there's a lot of stuff going around on social media, and we know that Liverpool are trying to get Mo to sign the new deal. The deal apparently will make Mohamed Salah the highest paid player in Liverpool Football Club's history if he signs it, which doesn't surprise me because he should be the highest paid player. I think he's the highest paid player now, so any increase on that would still probably make him the highest paid player in the club's history. So fingers crossed that Michael Edwards, Jurgen Klopp and the team get that over the line, because it's been brilliant seeing Trent sign a new deal. Amazing hearing about Fabinho. Brilliant news about Alison today as well. You know, if we can back that up with tying Mohamed Salah down and getting one or two signings in, you know, I think this window we look back at it a little bit differently. So yeah, the boxes are being ticked as the days go along, bit by bit by bit. We're seeing the transfer outgoings get done. We're seeing the contract renewals that we knew were coming getting done. Now there are some trickier ones to come. Jordan Henderson situation might be tricky. The whole Mane Firmino stuff could be a bit tricky. Salah I probably expect to be a bit tricky, but you know, in a world where Harry Kane is worth 120 million quid, Mohamed Salah has got to be worth at least 100 million quid of anybody's money, and I don't want him to leave. I want him to see out the prime years of his career at Liverpool Football Club, and I know that you guys in the chat do as well. Saul, nothing. I mean, I'm trying my hardest to find out if this whole Saul saga is going to come to an end, but what I will say to you is United seem to have backed away in their interest. They seem to be looking elsewhere. So there hasn't really been any other clubs realistically in the race. So it seems to be Liverpool's player to lose. So, you know, we'd seen the Thiago stuff drag on and on and on. It was denied by everybody on the British side of the media, but we knew it was happening. And look, I can't say for certain because, like you, I'm in the dark on all of this stuff, but it seems to be the most logical one, doesn't it? I mean, him or Renato Sanchez seems to be the two most logical central midfielders that we've been linked with. I know you can look at Basuma, you can look at Neuhaus and a few others, but Atleti actively are looking to move on Saul, so we know what the price is already. Talk of about 45, 46 million pound maybe. I think you could probably get him a little bit lower than that. So yeah, I mean, I'd happily have Saul to come in and add a bit of experience, a bit of squad depth, and a few more options for the gaffer. Right, what else have we got? Done that one. Oh yes, this one. So there's been some conflicting reports today on Shaqiri, and I wanted to get your take on this, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to read something to you and see how you interpret this, because you know we all look at things a little bit differently, and I just wanted to get your take on this one. So there's an article doing the rounds, and it says it stated the Liverpool winger, i.e. Shaqiri, met with Liverpool management and asked for a sale as he wants to leave the Reds and got the green light. So no surprise there. We've always known that the club won't really keep any player that wants to leave, and if Shaqiri's asked for a move, that the club would grant it if they got the right figure. But this is the part that intrigues me. In fact, he will be sold at almost zero cost, with the Reds ready to satisfy him as he wants an alternative. So, how do you guys interpret the phrase? Again, I want to get the phrase exactly right. Zero cost. Now, I had a chat with Connor about this. Do we mean zero cost as in we'll recoup the 12.5 million quid or whatever it was that we paid Stoke from, or zero cost as in there goes your contract, fella, walk out the door? I mean, surely to God we don't just give him away. I can't see a situation where it's the case that we're just going to give Shaqiri away at 29 years of age. But that's how it read to me. You know, so I want to see how you interpreted what I read there. Do you see that as, you know, not going to make a profit on him, or literally he's going to be free to walk out the door? Mick Wall said on a free or his fee back. That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out, Mick, as well here, mate. I'm a little bit stumped. Yeah. See, Lazio are short of funds as well, which which makes it interesting. You're saying fake news, Bailey, but I don't know what. How do I say this without being an arsehole? It's not my news, Bailey. First and foremost, I'm just bringing it to the chat. And look, you're no way fake news. Could be just your reply to say no way the club let him go for free. But I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out here, mate. Is whether he is going for free or whether that sentence meant that we will look to get back what we've paid. Because like, he's 29. He's experienced. He's got to be worth a few bob. But maybe the club are deeming that the overseas squad place and the wages off the books would be something that they'd be willing to take the hit on the transfer fee of. But I don't know. It's a very interesting one to me, and that's why I wanted to put it to the chat. Raghavan said 12 million possible for Shaqiri, said Vernon. 5 million is basically free, said Rav D. Sounds like a free, said Lennon Holden. Mossy Hyo said we'll get 10. Brian thinks it was lost in translation. Yeah, it could be, mate. That could be, absolutely. It could just be a little bit lost in translation. But Bernadette said the odd thing about Shaqiri is he's brilliant in training but not on the pitch. Yeah, look, I understood the gamble when we've just gone over 1,000 viewers live in the chat. Nice one. Happy days. Thank you everyone that's here. I understood the chance that we took on Shaqiri at the time when we did. I mean, what's 12.5 million quid in the grand scheme of things? And I thought with that relegation clause, it was certainly a punt worth taking by the club. Now, I suppose it's down to individual beliefs whether you think it's been a punt worth taking or not. For me, I think I look back at it as a 6 out of 10 signing. You know, he did a few decent things, but injuries and lack of being able to get into a match rhythm really impacted what he could do at the club. So, yeah, I have nothing against Shaqiri. As I've always said, if a footballer wants to move on and gets to a specific point in their career, have at it. You need to play football, your career's short. But one thing I think we can safely say is that if Shaqiri does go and if Origi does go, and I've still to see any genuine bid on the table for Origi, who Liverpool seem to value at about 20 million quid. Yeah, no, you heard me right there. I did utter the words 20 million quid after saying Divock Origi's name. What I'm trying to say there is that for Divock Origi, Liverpool are asking for 20 million of your human pounds. So Origi, 20 million. 20 million? Origi. How? How? Like, how? I'm genuinely, I know I'm just repeating the word how here and I'm like an arsehole, but I don't understand the thought process that leads somebody to say that they think that we can get 20 million quid for Divock Origi. I'm not trying to be an arsehole, I promise you. I just don't. It does not compute in my head. 12 to 15 million, I think we'd have been lucky to get. Yeah, I'm baffled. Like, basically the reason I'm baffled by it is I don't want to be in a position where we're sitting here in 2 weeks' time and let's say Shaqiri's moved on and we're still waiting to free up that extra overseas squad place and Origi's still on the books. Now, I've nothing against Divock Origi in any way, shape or form. I mean, the man scored some vital goals for us. You know, and he's done some. He's left a scholarship there in Liverpool as well. And I've nothing bad to say about the lad. I don't think he's good enough, but, you know, I've no real feelings towards him. But I think 20 million quid is pricing him out of a move for himself and for the club. I just don't think that he's worth 20 million quid. I just can't see it. Now maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm confused. Look, Danny Ings just went for 30 million quid. Now, Danny Ings is 29 years of age. He has an injury record, but he has banged in a shit ton of goals. And Divock Origi has not been great over the past couple of seasons, even though his game time has been rather limited. When he has gotten game time, he hasn't exactly set the world alight. So I guess I'm just worried that will be too pig-headed and will be left again at the end of the window, scratching around, trying to figure it all out. Anybody else feel the same, or am I just being a dickhead, basically? Sarah Marshall, how are you? Hello, how much is Jota and Thiago costing us this year in transfers, as it's money we've not have this year to spend? Well, right, here is a very brief explanation of how a lot of transfers are done, Sarah, and please don't feel like this is me trying to mansplain or talk down to anybody, because I don't understand it all as well. But basically, if there's an accountant in the chat here, feel free to jump in and help me out. But all transfers, when they are paid or they are taken out, the player is listed as an asset on the club's value sheet or on the club's set of books. So it's amortized over the course of the time of the player's contract. So basically, if the player's value is, let's say, 50 million quid, that 50 million quid is spread over the time of the player's contract on the club's books for the financial record. So it isn't in any way unusual the way that we went and signed Shaqiri and Thiago, in that we paid, in Thiago's case, 5 million quid up front and 5 million quid a year for the 4 years he's at the club. And Diogo Jota, I think it was just a shade under 10 million quid, and the remaining 40 odd million quid over the time that, or a bit less than that, over the time he'll be at the football club. So amortization is something that happens all the time with contracts, and I can't tell you how a football club's balance sheet works properly because I'm not well enough educated on it to know. But from my basic level of transfer understanding, with transfer financial understanding, it is something that's not at all unusual. And you know, like, let's use an example of Lukaku, who could well go back to Chelsea. Well, right now at this moment in time, Inter still owe Manchester United somewhere around, I think, 46 million quid or something like that for Romelu Lukaku. So it's not at all unusual that the transfer fees aren't all paid up in front in one lump sum. What's happening with Jared Bowen, said Bish. I spoke to Corey from the West Ham way yesterday, mate, and he seems to think that West Ham will want a really high fee to let go of Bowen, and they won't want to lose him. It's just a tactic not to buy any players and keep an Origi, said Nooking Foots. But even that doesn't make any sense, does it? Because, okay, let's say it's a tactic by the owners. We're still going to be left with a player who won't be used much, that probably won't be very happy because he's not getting a lot of game time and is still getting paid by the club. So, you know, in an absolute worst case scenario, loan him out for the year. At least you're freeing up a squad place and getting some of his wages off the books. So that's why I'm a bit confused by it. I mean, I'm all for Liverpool trying to get top dollar for their players when it works out, but when we're in a position where these overseas squad places are so valuable and we need to free them up, you know, and there's two players there who are open to leaving the club, I mean, just find a way to do something that works for everyone. Don't Barca still owe us money for Coutinho? No, they don't. I've explained this before, and this I know is factual. So Barcelona still owe money for Felipe Coutinho. Yes, that is correct. They just don't owe it to Liverpool. Liverpool sold that debt off to another company, and it's that company that owe the money, or that owe the money for Felipe Coutinho. So Liverpool, no, we're not owed a shilling. We've received all the money that we're due, but yes, Barca do still owe some money for Coutinho. It just happens to not be to Liverpool. It's to, I don't know, a fund or something like that. I imagine it's probably something like, well, we want the money now, so let's say we'll sell it off at 90 or 95p in the pound to you, and over the course of time you'll make the money back or something, and you make a few million quid profit. I imagine it's something along those lines, but definitely 100% we're not owed any money by Barcelona. Southampton will give us 15 million for Divock. I mean, Rav, I hope you've hit the nail on the head there, my man, because that is that is a best case scenario right now, isn't it? They do have a Danny Ings shaped hole in their attack now that they need to fill, and we have a Divock Origi shaped man that could maybe go and fill said hole for Southampton. So yeah, I mean, that could work. I mean, yeah, You never know. Maybe we get you involved in the L transfer deal here, Rav. 8 million to 11 million for Origi is what Martin McCullough thinks. I don't think it's too. I'd say 12 million to 15 will be my valuation of Origi. If 12 million plus the usual 3 million in add-ons or whatever. Hey Craig, are we due money for the Ings sell-on fee? Yes, we are. I was explaining this at the start of the stream, so for people that are coming in a little bit late, Danny Ings has signed for Aston Villa today in a £30 million deal from Southampton to Aston Villa, and Liverpool have a 20% sell-on clause on Danny Ings' deal. But as per James Pearce of the Athletic, we have a 20% sell-on clause on anything over the £20 million that Southampton paid Liverpool for Danny Ings. So in this scenario, Liverpool will make £2 million from Danny Ings moving from Southampton to Aston Villa. So yes, you'll see £6 million being thrown around by some people on social media, but the actual number is £2 million because it's 20% of the £10 million above and beyond what Southampton paid for him. Craig, do you think lack of funds from John, you call him the Rat Henry, will force Klopp to go next year? No. You see, I think this is how they're getting away with it a bit, Robert, to be honest with you, mate, because they know in Jurgen Klopp they have a manager who can make the squad punch above its weight and can do his job, which is to train players and make them better and coach them. So I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think Jurgen Klopp has ever broken a contract. I don't think he has ever walked away from a contract. And I think Jurgen Klopp will see out his time at Liverpool till 2024. But I also think that there is something to what you're saying there, in that FSG know what they have, and they know that a lot of these cracks can be covered up through the brilliance of Klopp and Linders and the squad and the spirit that's been built there. So I agree with some of what you're saying, and then some of the other stuff, I wouldn't call him the Rat Henry as an example. I don't like him, but it wouldn't be the terminology I'd use. I'm from Denmark. How are you, Alan? Lovely to have you in, mate. Said, do you think we're buying an attacker in this window? Yes, I do. But whether that's somebody who plays through the centre or somebody who plays wide, I would say it's somebody who plays in a wide position. Now, Damsgaard has been linked again. I meant to talk about that yesterday. I forgot to bring it up. His name has been brought up again. Rafinha, you can rule that one out. He's not going to leave Leeds. We've, of course, been linked to Bowen. We've been linked to Doku, but that looks like it's going to be a transfer that may take place next year because he and his club want him to remain for another year. So who or where this attacking forward or wide player comes from, I genuinely don't know. There is a load of links out there, a load of names, but nothing that I would say seems as concrete as the way that the Saul thing is looking. I genuinely believe Liverpool are interested in Saul, but I don't know to what extent we're interested in all these wide players that have been linked to the club. And again, we have to remember Harvey Elliott as well. I mean, I was shocked to read yesterday that there was even a consideration that Harvey Elliott may go out on loan this season. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. He has to stay at the club. He's shown even in pre-season that he's able to be at this level, and I think he will only continue to develop and do better. And another shocker, and I don't know if you guys seen this as well, was there were links to Curtis Jones and Aston Villa. So I hope to good God that that's absolute nonsense of the highest order. I can see why Aston Villa would look at him. Of course I can. Curtis Jones is a fine footballer, and they're about to lose Jack Grealish, and they have McGinn there, and they've brought in some decent players and Bailey, and Villa are building a decent squad there. So I can understand from Villa's perspective why they'd look at our boy and go, yeah, we'll have a bit of Curtis Jones, please. But the answer had better have been a dramatic sorry but no, because there's no way, even on loan, we need to keep Curtis Jones. We need to have him in the squad this year. Damsgood wouldn't be a bad pickup. Great Euro, said Hussein. Do I believe Renato Sanchez links are concrete? yes and no. So, do I think Jurgen Klopp has looked at Renato Sanchez as somebody who is capable of becoming an even better player than he's shown to be, somebody who's an undervalued asset, somebody who he could make into a much better player, and that there would be value for money there? Yes, I look at it and I see all of those things. But something, and I don't know why, but it's just at the back of my own mind, I get the feeling Renato Sanchez is hanging on to see if Barcelona can free up a space and free up enough money to make a bid for him. That's the feeling that I get from it, which is why I would lean more towards our links to Seoul from Atleti. But I definitely would say, I wouldn't sit here and say 100% not a hope that we sign Renato Sanchez. I just think it's gone really quiet on that front, and all I've really seen is some Barca links. But then again, you never know. Inter aren't going to sell Lukaku and Martinez. And yeah, look, this is one that I put my hands up on. Last night I did the stream and I said, from everything that I've read and seen, Lukaku's happy at Inter Milan and doesn't want to move, and it would be more likely that they sell Lautaro Martinez. Now, as soon as I finished the stream last night, of course, the talk started to increase around Lukaku, and it looks like Chelsea could well go back with about 120 million and get Lukaku from Inter Milan. In which case, what you're saying there is absolutely spot on. They ain't going to sell Martinez and Lukaku in one window. That would just be stupid. So, yeah, that's it looks like Lautaro Martinez is a name we can scratch off the probably improbable list already, but definitely not happening now. How are you feeling today, man? What a performance from Bowes last night. Keane, I'm knackered. I haven't slept in 2 full nights now, Keane, so I'm absolutely knackered. But great result for Bowes against PAOK. 2-1 win at the Aviva. They travel over to Greece next week for the return leg, and wishing them all the best. Right, let's go and see. Oh yeah, here's something I bet you didn't think I'd be bringing up tonight. Coutinho. So apparently there's according to Mundo Deportivo, and I'm going to read this out to you because I don't want you to think these are my words. So, over 3.5 years after his Anfield exit, Liverpool are interested in re-signing Philippe Coutinho from Barcelona, according to a report. Sport Witness cites Mundo Deportivo as making the claim, and although Spurs are the main club linked, the Catalan newspaper insists Liverpool are also interested. The article states, the stance is that should Jurgen Klopp lose a star in the ongoing transfer window, then Liverpool have Coutinho on their agenda. Barcelona are open to a loan or a permanent transfer, and for the Reds, the player is on their radar. I call bullshit, and I call bullshit of the maximum variety, because Barca are desperate to get Coutinho off their books. They're desperate to get Griezmann off their books because they want those in excess of 400 grand a week wages gone, because they are up shit creek. So the fact that this stems from a Catalan publication, I think, is just them trying to stir up some interest in Coutinho, because there seems to be fuck all genuine interest in him. There was some talk about Everton at one point. Spurs have been mentioned. Marseille were linked with him. And it feels like they can't give him away. And it's also really important to remember, he hasn't played since January. He's been out with a knee injury, so I call poo-poo on that one of the highest order, and I'm even going to just remove him off the stream there, so I don't even want to look at him anymore. Abdullah, thank you for the super chat, mate. Said City getting Grealish and Kane, Chelsea going for Lukaku, we have to move. Abdullah, I don't think you will find a single person, my friend, in the chat who would disagree with what you've said there. Now I hope we get a situation like we got today when Villa announced the signing of Danny Ings. Nobody had a clue. Nobody in the press spoke about it. It wasn't leaked anywhere. And then all of a sudden around 6 o'clock tonight, bing bang bosh, Danny Ings is an Aston Villa player. So we're all hoping that we get a couple of those over the next few weeks before the window closes with regards to Liverpool. And look, it could well happen, because we've seen before, Fabinho, Jota, these things can come out of nowhere really quickly. And we've always been told that the plan was renewals, contract renewals, moving on fringe players, freeing up some money and then the transfer business will be last. Now, Canada, we got in early doors, which is brilliant. So I genuinely do believe that we'll make a couple of signings towards the end of the window. Ideally, though, we'd all like those signings in earlier, wouldn't we? Because we'd want Klopp to have time to work with them. But if you're looking at players coming in for 4 or 5 years, you know, what's a couple of more weeks, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, particularly when we have the AFCON coming up as well. You know, we need to make sure if we bring in another attacking player that at least that player is ready to go when Sadio and Mo and Naby head off to the AFCON. So, yeah, I'm optimistic, but I would be absolutely lying to you if I said I didn't have lingering doubts at the back of my mind that we will get excuses over the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be left frustrated. I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have some concerns about that. But what I will also say is, you know, the squad that we have, not deep enough. I don't think any of us would argue about that. But, you know, even the first 15, 16 names on our squad, I think we can compete with almost any other team in the league to an extent. But, you know, when you've got your rivals like City maybe dropping 250 million on 2 players, and United... 115, 120 million on Varane and Sancho, which, look, in the grand scheme of things, isn't bad business, to be fair. With those numbers, I think I think they've done all right there, you know, to give the old rivals a bit of credit. Whereas, you know, Man City, God bless them, poor Pep hadn't got a shilling to his name, couldn't afford to buy a striker in this crazy market, couldn't afford to make these big money signings. And the one thing that I've always had back from Manchester City fans was, why do you all hate us so much? You know, we don't break record transfers. We haven't signed anybody over 60 million quid. Yeah, but you've signed about 15 players in between 40 and 60. And now you are going to break the British transfer record of 100 million quid at a time where the investigation for the Premier League into Manchester City is still underway. So... yeah, it's a massive statement from them, and it's a massive fuck you to everybody else as well. So I'm interested to see what if anything does come from all of this, if this triggers more business in the window, or if John W. Henry is still going to sit tight and think that this master plan they have for next summer is going to come together, and, you know, we end up with let's say Jeremy Doku and Jude Bellingham next summer. But, you know, it is what it is. It's frustration at the minute. Kind of jealous, but I know we don't have that kind of money. Look, I'll be really honest with you. To me, Jack Grealish isn't a £100 million footballer. I'm sorry. I mean, do I think Jack Grealish is a good footballer? Absolutely. Would I think that he could do a job wherever he goes? 100%. I just don't see him being England's most expensive ever footballer. 100 million quid. It genuinely baffles me that he's... Like, a year ago, there were genuine conversations around Grealish or Maddison, yeah? Genuine debates are being had of who was the better of the two. We'd come 1 year down the line when Grealish has had a decent season with Villa, played fuck all in the Euros, by the way, and somehow is now a £100 million footballer, and James Maddison could be on his way to Arsenal. You know, it boggles the mind to me that he's worth 100 million quid. Genuinely. I just can't see the value. I can't see how he's worth it. I don't think that is his market value. I really don't. But then again, a market value is one club saying we want this for our player and somebody else going and paying it. So I don't think any other club in the world would pay the 100 million, but that's just my take on it. But he is a very fine footballer. I'm not saying anything to the contrary on that one. Grealish is 65 million, said George Quinn. Jack is like Joe Cole, said heirs of the cop. Brian said he's worth 100 million to Villa, but no need for City to pay that much. Yeah, see, that's a very good point, Brian. To Aston Villa and what Jack Grealish can do and bring to them and their fan base, and the importance of Grealish, yes, you can see why Villa would want 100 million quid. But, I mean, I'll be honest, if tomorrow morning I'd have woken up and seen Liverpool sign Jack Grealish for 100 million quid, I would go, good signing, but not 100 million quid signing. We've been robbed. Because, you know, you look around the world right now, and as an example, next summer, Haaland's going to be available for 75 million euro. So about what, 60, 63, 64 million pound? I'm genuinely baffled. I just, yeah, I don't get it. He's 60 million on a good day, said Bamba, 36. Odegaard to LFC, Aiden. We spoke about that a little bit yesterday. I seem to be a lot warmer to the idea than a lot of other people. I like Martin Odegaard, and I was genuinely annoyed when we missed out on him to Real Madrid when he was a 16-year-old. And look, he didn't set the world alight at Arsenal, but you know, it wasn't the greatest of Arsenal teams, to be fair, and he did quite well at Sociedad, and I would, you know, be more than happy for Liverpool to sign him. Grealish smells like Coutinho to Barcelona, said Jack's Page. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I get where you're coming from on that one. We're not getting Haaland. I didn't say anybody was getting Haaland. Never. I just said what he's available for next summer. I never mentioned who was getting him or who wasn't getting him. I know we won't be getting him at Liverpool. I can say that much. Sancho for 73 million is a way better deal. Yeah. I mean, let's put it to the chat. I mean, even that, you know, me being a Liverpool fan and, you know, wanting United to do shit and vice versa, I would agree. I would look at United's deal for Jadon Sancho and think it's better value than the deal for Jack Grealish. What do you think in the chat? Who's the better value signing, Grealish or Sancho? You know, the floor is yours, ladies and gentlemen. Lash it into the chat. And if you're watching back later on, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts on it as well. And while you're all getting your keyboards out and you're tapping in the answers there, don't forget that today's stream has been brought to you with thanks to the folks at manscaped.com. Right now, they've dropped the all-new Performance Package 4.0 in Europe. Only came out in the last week or so. Included in the Performance Package, you get the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is what you use to shave your out with, you know, that area there. Like, if you're like me, you know, it might need 2 charges of it to get it done. You know what I mean? You also get the Weed Whacker, which is the ear and nose hair trimmer, the ball deodorant, the toner, the boxer briefs, and it all comes in a cool little box in a carrier bag they call it Shed. With our code WFM20, WFM20, you get yourself 20% off absolutely anything at manscaped.com, and your balls will thank you later. They really will. And they're very polite about how they thank you as well. You know, they're very courteous. Right, so let's have a look at what the chat thinks anyway. Scroll back up. Sancho's a better deal, Sonora's H14. I'd love Sancho, I'm jealous of that, said Bailey 19. Grealish is 25, Reham, by the way. Craig, I believe we will be late, but we'll get the right player. Sancho. Oh my god, Sancho better value every day. Sancho's better than Grealish, younger and cheaper. Sancho, look, I've yet to see anybody write Grealish, so good. I'm glad that I'm not on my own with that consideration. Yeah, I think they've overpaid, and they've overpaid by a considerable margin. But no doubt it'll be covered. Put it that way. No doubt there'll be some way of making those numbers add up. Some clever accounting that obviously. See, here's look. Do I want to dig this hole right now? Right. Okay. This is what I'm going to say. To me, as a moron, I look at Manchester United and I can see how they can afford huge transfer fees, huge wages, and do it on a consistent basis. Because I know the money-making machine that Manchester United is. I can look at Chelsea and I can justify and see in my head how they can afford Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Romelu Lukaku, the goalkeeper they brought in, because although we all think of Abramovich as somebody who comes in and splashes money around, Chelsea are very, very, very good at selling on players, loaning them out around Europe and bringing in a lot of money. And again, they're a London-based club with a good commercial background. Liverpool are closing the gap on Manchester United, the same. But where are these City fans? Like, why are Manchester City getting paid more than everybody else for sponsorship deals, way above market value? And this has been written about by, people far more educated than I on the subject. It fucking stinks. I've got to be honest with you. It's not bitterness, because bitterness would be me moaning about United or Chelsea, but I can see how they can afford it. I can actually join those dots and go, okay, that's how they can afford it. Where is the worldwide fan base for Manchester City? Genuinely, they've a brilliant fan base in the UK, and there's even a good few City fans I know in Ireland who go way back, but I don't see how the fuck they generate the cash that they supposedly generate. They don't own the stadium, so they don't even have that as an asset. What they've done, obviously, with the whole complex is amazing. I mean, credit where it's due there. But look, is it just me, or does this fucking stink to high heaven? And call me salty, whatever you want, I don't give a shit, because I've always said it. I don't like Manchester City. I like their fans, very knowledgeable, a lot of them sound people. I'll always think of Manchester City fans in high regard because of the way, when they went down the divisions, they sold out Main Road, they backed their team when they're down in the lower leagues. So when I say this, I don't say it to be an asshole to Manchester City fans, because there are some damn knowledgeable, damn good Manchester City fans that have been around a long, long time that are probably deserving of success. But there's also these nouveau rich type of glory hunting shits that know fuck all about the sport and like to chat shit online about it all the time, particularly around the club, saying it's all salty, salty, salty if you don't, if you don't think that we generate. Anybody in the chat, I'm genuinely asking, can anybody else find a reason as to how they're able to get above market value on all of these things, and that a lot of their sponsorship seems to come from a certain area of the world? It baffles me, and it's why I've always been so fascinated with the Spiegel articles and the investigations into Manchester City spending and where the money comes from and all of this kind of stuff, because it fucking stinks to me. It just stinks. Right, sorry about that anyway, again. But I did want your input on it, because as I said, I had this conversation with a Chelsea fan earlier on who said, why is it whenever we spend money, people say we're ruining football? But I can see where Chelsea generate the revenue from. I can, not fully, but, we all know Roman Abramovich is owed a lot of money by the club, but they certainly, to me, have been at the top and the pinnacle for a lot longer, where they were recognised as a, European Cup winning club. And I genuinely, I just can't see how the fuck City get these numbers from. I mean, I've seen and heard that, the City of Manchester Stadium is sold out today, and I've seen 10,000 empty seats. We've all seen it. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. We've all looked at the Etihad and seen empty seats everywhere, and heard the announcer saying sellout crowd, or and I understand everybody doesn't go to every game that they buy. I get that, but I don't know. But look, I know the bitterness, the chance of bitterness, and it's not bitterness, because I will happily lose to a team that like Chelsea or Manchester United. Well, I say happily, not happily, but I will give the credit where it's due. And I've nothing against the players, and I've nothing against the fans of City, but my God, I dislike them and PSG and the way the two clubs are run. And I won't hide that, and I never have. I hope they never win a Champions League between the two of them, because they are everything I hate about modern day football rolled into two clubs. Everything I hate about it. But that is not aimed at their fans. That's all I want to ever get across is I've nothing against City's fans. There's some sound people, but fuck me, I don't like the two clubs. Anyway, let's keep going. They don't generate that income since Jimmy Duggan, but they have good accountants. Yeah. Look, obviously we've got to be mindful of what we say here because everything is just an opinion from what I say. I don't claim anything to be factual. It's just my take on the situation. But as I keep saying to you, have a look at, if you're on Twitter, search at Sporting Intel. Nick runs a great account. They did the investigation, the undercover work into this whole FFP debacle with City in the Premier League, and look, it's there for all to see. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's get on to talk about something more positive because I'm sick of this nonsense, to be honest with you. Right, what have we got? Craig, would you like owners like Chelsea at Liverpool? You see, nobody can doubt Roman Abramovich's commitment to Chelsea Football Club. And I don't know, I can't sit here in good conscience as well and say that I know that Sheikh Mansour doesn't care about Manchester City or the football club, because I don't. He may well love the club and want to do the very best for it. That's not my problem here. My problem is that if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's most likely a fucking duck. And there's a lot of quacking going on that isn't adding up to me. You missed my super chat. Sorry, dude. Let me scroll back up. Owen, I did. How did City get out of their Champions League ban? So, from my recollection, mate, I believe there was, again, now please, I'm open to be corrected on this, but from what I remember about it, I think that there was a statute of limitations on how far back UEFA could investigate, but it was definitely a technicality. It wasn't that they didn't do anything wrong. It was a technicality, and I think it might have something to do with a statute of limitations in UEFA's own guidelines that was pointed out and that stopped them being able to investigate it. That's what I remember from it. Now, if anybody wants to go further in that and add to it or tell me I'm wrong, I'm absolutely open to being corrected. You never see the owner celebrate, but Roman does. Again, I genuinely think Abramovich loves running the football club. He came in and he spent money and changed the game to an extent and how fees were paid and stuff, but like long term, whether we like or don't like the way Abramovich runs Chelsea or how quickly they turn over managers, it's led to success, which in turn has led to revenues going up. And I think Chelsea are a very shrewd club. Genuinely, I think that they're very well run, and that there's a lot of people that know what they're doing there with regards to football and to the business side of it. Right, Fofana broke his leg. That's terrible to hear. I know Leicester were playing today, so genuinely really sorry to hear about Fofana breaking his leg, and like any player in that scenario, I hope he makes a comeback as soon as possible. Yeah, I mean, horrible. But I hope he makes a speedy recovery. You are wrong, Craig. It had nothing to do with UEFA not getting everything in on time. It had nothing to do with UEFA not getting everything in on time. Do you want to tell me how I'm wrong then, Stephen? I mean, you've told me why you think I'm wrong, but you haven't told me what the right answer was. Let me Google it. Happy to do it on the stream, mate. 1 sec. Might as well find the actual answer. 1 second. Most of the alleged breaches were either not established or time barred. So, looks like that's a bit of a W for me there, Steve, and me old mucker. As I said, time barred, statute of limitations on stuff. So, you're welcome, Stephen. Craig, you are wrong. You said City had 10,000 empty seats in 18-19 on average. 12,547 seats per game were not filled by home fans. Okay, well, look, obviously the figure of 10,000 was me throwing out a vague number, but what I'm saying is, from what I always remember, was that those reports were that they were all sold out. Games were sold out, and yet there were empty seats everywhere. Yeah. But there you go. Anyway, so Stephen Miel Mucker, who, by the way, is a Manchester City fan, at least according to his image or his avi. I mean, I'm not having a pop at you, Stephen, mate. I mean, these are very complicated matters. You know, I just knew I had a memory of something to do with it. Time scale being an important factor in it. That's all I was ever saying, mate. And, I'm not saying, I'm not having a dig at you here, At, and please don't take it that way. I just, I know my shit, mate. That's all I'm saying, basically. I play down myself a lot, but, I'm not as thick as I might look. I'm pretty well informed, dude, when it comes to football. A lot of stuff in life I haven't got a Scooby-Doo about, mate, but I know me footy. Leicester to sign Kabak, do you think they will allow Fofana out? Oh, excuse me, let me rephrase that again. Leicester to sign Kabak, do you think they will now that Fofana is out? Sorry, Tom. Yeah, look, they were linked with Ozan Kabak as soon as we basically said that we weren't going to sign him, and I think Ozan Kabak for Leicester, I think we should have bought him. I said it to you at the time, we could have got him for 8.5 million quid. I know that the agreement with Schalke was for 18, but Schalke really, really needs to get Ozan Kabak off the books, and I think it would make a very good piece of business for Leicester, and I still think we should have done it. Actually, there was one more name we haven't spoken about today, and that's this gentleman here. So Ben Davies, you know him, he does exist, he is real. Apparently he's going to be loaned out by the club, and this one is a bit of a noodle scratcher as well. So again, let me just read to you what is being put out there. So Neil Jones of Goal said Liverpool ready to let Ben Davies leave on loan, with Sheffield United leading the race. The Blades had an initial offer rejected this week. Reds unwilling to agree an option to buy. Celtic and Bournemouth also among those keen. Now, this is another strange one, isn't it? So Sheffield United want him. They offered to buy him, but Liverpool only want to loan him out. Does that mean that Liverpool genuinely see a future for Ben Davies at the club? In which case, fair enough. If that's the answer, fair enough. But I don't know what world Ben Davies comes back and breaks into a defence with Matip, Gomez, Van Dijk and Canade there, with Billy Comedio coming through and other youngsters on the books. I mean, yeah, strange one to me. I'm baffled by it, because before we signed him from Preston, he was very close to joining Celtic. Yeah, odd one for me, but I don't know what the play is there, but that's the news on him anyway. Anybody got any idea? Maybe this is to up his value, but if that was the case, then all I can think of is that they loan him out this season and sell him at the end of next season and hope that he has a good season somewhere. But we only paid £500,000 for him, didn't we? Maybe rising up to a bit more than that, but I don't know. It just seems an odd one to me. He needs game time. Liverpool never used him since he signed because he's been injured, mate. The end of last season when we needed him, he was injured, and he left the club's training camp for personal reasons. Remember we heard that story? No idea what those were, by the way. I'm not trying to question why he left, but has he come back? I don't think he's come back to the squad yet. Right, a couple more quick things before I have to leg it. Somebody said something about Henderson in the chat. Let me try and find that comment. Brian thinks we're probably just protecting his value, which makes some sense. Somebody did ask him, am I worried about Jordan? Yes, there it is. Fabio said, are you worried to lose Hendo? I'm really afraid. Why hasn't he joined the squad yet? I'm a little bit late and I don't know if it's been talked about. Well, the reason that he hasn't joined up with the squad yet is simply because England got to the final of the Euros and he's entitled to a 3-week holiday. So he will be joining back up with the squad when they finish in Evian. So, you know, and he's been working away and chipping away, training while he's been in Mallorca. So, am I worried about it? Yes, I am, absolutely. You know, when you see clubs like Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain and a few others being rumoured to be monitoring Jordan Henderson's situation, it lets you know how highly he is thought of in world football. And he's our club's captain. But I also have to say that I do understand the fact that the club think that, you know, he's 2 years left, he'll be 33 then. You know, do we want to give Jordan Henderson a contract till he's 34, 35? I understand that part of it. I would just hope that there'll be some type of happy compromise reached where maybe gets a bump in wages with the option of another year or something. But I am worried, yeah. But I just don't think, I can't see any way Kloppo would allow him to leave in this window. I just don't see it. What's good about Hendo, but then thinking about it, if he runs down his contract, he'll be 33. See, I have no problem with that either. If you said to me right now, Craig, Jordan Henderson is going to stay at Liverpool for 2 years and he's going to go off somewhere else at 33, I'm sound. I'm absolutely sound about that, because I think now is a time where we need leadership. We need Hendo there. And, you know, if he runs down his contract, so be it. We'll have had an unbelievable journey with Jordan Henderson that has culminated in him lifting a Premier League title, a Champions League, a Super Cup, a Club World Cup. You know, winning the Club World Cup is something no Liverpool captain had ever done before. Jordan Henderson is the first one to ever do that, so he should be treated with the utmost of respect, and I would rather we kept him for the 2 years and let him go for nothing than sold him this summer. And maybe I am letting a bit of sentiment get in the way here, but everything about that man I love. Everything. The fact that he refused to just accept his fate and go to Fulham when we wanted Clint Dempsey, dug his heels in, worked his ass off to improve himself, and finally started getting the recognition that he deserved. Always be my captain. Love the man. Can't speak highly enough of Hendo. And on that seems like a rather positive way to leave tonight's stream, ladies and gentlemen. So tomorrow, don't forget, a couple of things I need you to do. One, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Drop a like on the video. Tomorrow, 2:30, I'll be live and I'm going to be taking you right through. So Liverpool are playing a game at 3 o'clock. It's an hour-long game against Bologna. Then there's an hour gap. Then Liverpool are playing at 5 o'clock. Another hour-long game against Bologna. I'll be taking you all the way through. I won't even be taking a break in between the games. And then at 8:30 tomorrow night, or 8:45, we'll have a live Anfield Agenda podcast. Myself, Steve Bland and Jack Gill. Don't forget to get over to the Craig Station, by the way. My other channel, there is a link in the description. The interview with the Pie Face went up there. Pie Face Pie, the Pie Face Jack, whatever way you want to phrase the man's name. It's loads of fun. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's about half an hour long. And yeah, have a great night. Lots of love to you all. I am off to get some much needed sleep because I can barely keep my eyes open. But as always, lots of love to you. Hope I didn't offend anybody tonight in any way. I never want to do that. But if I did, my bad.